Thank you and good morning everyone. It seems very strange being the other side of the table today. So, although I agree with many of the things that Councillor Harrington has already said, I'm coming from it from a slightly different perspective. So, being a Green councillor, you'll not be surprised to hear that I'm actually, in principle, in agreement with parking charges. They're an effective lever to move more people from travelling in individual cars into public transport. And in addition, of course, it does bring in much needed revenue to the council, which we can see has helped in the city centre. However, in the case of Wetherby, the situation is unfortunately very different. The outer north east is the only area of Leeds that does not have a railway, and Wetherby will not be getting a mass transit system as it's simply too far away from the city centre. This means we need an even better bus transport system than other areas of the city because we have no alternative to car travel. And unfortunately, unlike other areas of the city, our bus service has got worse, not better, in terms of reliability and frequency of service. In addition, as many of you will know, Wetherby sits right on the border with North Yorkshire. So many employees of the businesses in Wetherby travel in from not only outside the town, but across the border in villages with no bus connections to Wetherby. This means that these employees have no option for public transport and have to drive and park in the town. Many of these workers in retail and hospitality will be on the minimum wage or just above and already struggling financially. They will not be able to afford the over £600 a year parking in the Wilderness car park, which is the very large free car park which is mainly used. This will inevitably mean that workers will not be able to afford to work in Wetherby and will have to look elsewhere for employment, which will cause shortages of staff. I'm also concerned about the fate of the 9 charity shops in Wetherby, who are all manned by volunteers. They do not get paid, so they're not going to pay to park. So either they'll find alternative free parking spaces that Councillor Harrington's already talked about in already congested areas and on estates, which we're already beginning to see, which will block access for residents but also emergency vehicles, or else they're going to take their free service elsewhere. Another thing that hasn't been mentioned is the fact that is the cultural side of Wetherby. Wetherby's known for its silver bands, become a destination for summer music season, where bands travel in from across the whole of the north of England and they regular audiences of over 300 people. Many of those musicians already travelling a long way and it's costing a lot of money, but if they're going to have to park when they get there for the day, it's going to deter a lot of them coming. So there is a real concern it's going to affect this music season, which is a really big part of the culture of the town across the summer. The impact on individuals and on the economy of the town hasn't been measured, but one can only imagine the devastating effect that this may well have on many of the 17% of those who completed the survey and work in the town, plus all the others that didn't complete the survey. Those on a minimum wage will not be able to afford this £600 a year on parking. In terms of the economy, it's a double whammy. Businesses will be hit from both ends. A reduction in the availability of employees and a reduction in the number of visitors who will choose to shop and have coffee in other villages and towns with free parking. So to summarise, although I agree in principle with parking charges, for Wetherby with such poor public transport connections, it will have a devastating effect on both the economy and on vulnerable individuals. So for this reason, I ask you pass this back for reconsideration. Thank you.